What's going on, everybody? Deutschbag here, and I've got another sim rig video for you. Today we are going to work on mounting the TV stand that I purchased recently for the top of it, obviously, because we need a TV to look at. We're going to mount the wheel, and we're going to mount the pedals. I still haven't built the console, so obviously we can't mount the shifter yet, but we're going to get the other things mounted, make sure everything fits and looks right, and then that'll kind of set us up for the next video, which is going to be building out the console and the button box. So let's get started. I've got some M6 by 30 millimeter bolts here, and this is what we're going to be using to attach the wheel to the deck. And if I was thinking, you know, while I was at the store, I would have got some washers to go with it, but I kind of forgot. So I'll probably add those later, but this is at least a good test to see whether or not this will fit. Now that the steering wheel's mounted, we can do the pedals, and I'll show you kind of what my plan is here. See if we tip these upside down. The T3PA pedals have a M6 size hole here and here. So what I did is I put this inside of the rig, and then I made a line, or actually I didn't really make a line. Let me get in here. What I did is, you can see I used a marker to kind of trace the corner of that bottom piece, and then I drew a line all the way across, and then I drew one that went up. And then on each side I've got approximately where that hole is. So I got the one there and then the other one right there. So I'm going to drill through, and then I'll probably make the holes a little bit wider than they're supposed to be. And we're going to use let me get the right bolt here. This M6 by 40 bolt, so it's a little bit bigger than the other bolts that we've been using. This will go through the bottom of the rig, so I'll have to tip it on its side. And with the holes being a little bit wider, that'll give me a little bit of room for error, just in case that measurement is off. And then we're going to use some washers probably on the underside too, just to make sure that obviously we want it to be nice and tight. So if there is a little bit of play to it, we don't want it to play too much. So yeah, now I'm gonna drill those holes and flip it on its side so we can get that started. The pedals are in, and as you can see, they're not coming out, so they're in there pretty solid. Helpful tip I'll give you is to get to those screws. I actually propped up the rig with my ratchet set, but you can prop it up with anything. I tried tipping it on its side to do it, and of course because the pedals are so heavy, it was not very easy to do it that way. So I just switched to this, and it actually worked out pretty well. So now, the next thing I was going to do is the mount for the TV. The problem with that, you can see I was about ready. I got the center point, and I was going to do a mountable mount. I don't know what you call it. I was going to bolt it to the top of that. The problem is the TV was going to be like way too tall. I think the TV would have been like way up here or something, like the bottom of it, so because it wasn't height adjustable. So instead of doing another video where I'm going to build the console and build now I'm going to build a TV mount, I'm just going to do it in this video. So we're going to build up the console, not the button box part. We're just going to get everything cut and get it put together and attached, and then what we're going to do is we're going to remove this piece back here, and we're going to build a taller piece. And then we're going to use like a normal wall mount for a TV, because I already have one of those. So we'll get that piece of MDF sticking upward, and then we'll attach our TV mount to it, our wall mount to it, and then attach the TV. And I've already taken measurements for that, so we should be able to adjust the height from the back of the bracket with using that method. But also it's wood, so if we need to raise or lower the bracket, we can do that too. So I guess my next step is to go out and start cutting wood. I wanted to stop for a second to show what I'm doing. I still have to cut out this fancy part and make that look good, but I got my TV mount out here. This is what we're going to use to actually attach to this board and install the TV. But I wanted to show what I'm doing on the board right now. And what I'm doing is I'm just tracing out, or I made a couple lines that go straight across, and then I marked it, or I added the little circles or ovals in here where the mounting points are on the bracket, and then I've labeled them. So I got top one, bottom one, so I know that this is a bracket, one bracket position. Top two, bottom two, that's another bracket position. Same thing with three, and that's just so like I can adjust the TV once it's on the hangers. But if I need to come back out and do some more modifications, I don't have to measure everything out again. I can just drill the holes where I need them, bring it back inside, and then actually I could probably even do it inside. It's just that the MDF is a little bit messy, so probably not the greatest idea, but I'm just trying to save myself some extra measuring potentially down the road. Put the mount a little bit too high, but the second time around I think I got it just fine. It's not, I mean, it's still kind of high, but when I sit in the chair I feel like it's going to be a good height. So it's just one of those things I'm going to have to play with a little bit, see if I need to lower it more. You can see there's a lot of leftover wood at the top there, so I'll probably trim that up at some point. And yeah, I think it's good for now. We'll see. I guess the next step is the console, so let's get started with that. console all put together now. The only thing that we have to do is actually attach it to the side of the rig here. As you can see, I used just the box for my router. Set that up, and then just kind of use these other boards as like spacers to try and get the right height. And then I move the shifter kind of back and forth until I got the right placement for it. It feels pretty good right here. I'd like to actually go just a little bit lower, but I feel like if I do that, I'm not gonna have a very good amount of room to try and put the screws through. I'll kind of show you what the backside looks like here. So there's not a ton of room. And so if I go, it's hard to do this, but if I go lower, I'm not gonna have enough room to put this bottom screw in. So I'm gonna put a bolt. I'm gonna put a bolt in here, and then I'm gonna put one in up here. So get that attached right now, and then try it out and just make sure that that's a good spot for it. So now that I got the top bolt in here, I got the level sitting on here. Make sure that this is level, and then we're going to put a bolt right through the back, right down on this side. The console is built. We've got our shifter mounted. I didn't show that part, but it's just 2 M6 bolts underneath here. You can do 4, but I think I need to trim up these edges just a little bit so that it fits a little bit nicer on there. In the next video, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna build a button box out of the remaining piece of console here. And what I did is instead of buying like a plastic project box, I actually bought this metal junction box, which just happens to have a, I think it was like 8 by 6, 8 by 4, 8 by 6, 8 by 6, I think. Anyway, this fits on here, nice and tight. It's a pretty close fit. But what we'll do is we'll cut the wood out behind here, and then we'll actually put some holes through this metal plate and put our buttons in there. We'll probably wrap this in like some sort of like carbon fiber or something like that. And then this I'll just put back in the box or something, and then if I ever decide to you know, pull that piece of metal off of the console here, I could use it for a button box later down the road, or I don't know, maybe use it for another project or something like that. Another thing I could probably do actually is I could just remove this piece altogether and use the entire box, and then these screws I just replace with bolts or something like that, and hold the metal project box in there. So I've got a couple of ideas, a few things I can do, but I guess we'll get to that in the next video. So thank you all so much for watching. Remember to comment, rate, and subscribe, and we'll see you the next time. Just a quick bonus video. Let's go ahead and get this handbrake mounted.